It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
From the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York, I'm Bill Caligiero. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, whenever you're watching. I hope you're doing good today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Fight TV and the simple fact that you can download our app for free for Fight TV. Just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the banner that says download the app for free. You can also get it right on the front page of BillyCBoxing.com. We have a very cool embedded player there for you. So don't forget, build the website. Just make sure you indicate how you want it signed, and we'll hook you up. Today, thanks to my man Johnston, and you could check out Johnston Brown's column up on BillyCBoxing.com. We have the third installment of Anthony Joshua's diary that's been being posted in the newspapers over in England. I'm going to get to that. But, I was thinking today before we came on, and, a lot of build-up. I've been dissecting the resumes of Anthony Joshua. And like most boxing fans, I'm guilty of looking beyond the Anthony Joshua and Carlos Takam fight, which is this weekend, and I'm anticipating the matchup between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder is fighting ancient Berminster Vern next weekend. So we have back-to-back world heavyweight title fights. And I just can't help but look at the two guys, and I have all their, records and everything right at my fingertips, actually. And, for all the people that make the crazy claim that Deontay has a better resume than Joshua, and some people are even discrediting Anthony Joshua's win over Vladimir Klitschko, I find it extremely humorous. It's right there in black and white, who's fought the tougher opposition, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the most important things, in my opinion, is the impact that Anthony Joshua is making, not only on the heavyweight division, but the sport of professional boxing in its entirety. And I think it's a good thing. I think Anthony Joshua is bringing a lot of notoriety back to the sport. I've been telling you guys for a long time that the UK boxing scene has been carrying boxing on its back. And it's very obvious today. But it's been going on like that for a long time. The best part of it, in my opinion, is Anthony Joshua displays so much class in and out of the ring. And when like I say, I can't help but constantly compare him to Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder is such a loudmouth, pounding his chest fraud. Anthony Joshua, class. You think of Anthony Joshua, you think of class. You think of Deontay Wilder, not so much, man. Not so much. Kind of classless. Joining me right now, guy with a lot of class himself, is my man Sal, Rocky Cenicola. Good morning, Sal. What's your thoughts?
Good morning, Bill. How are you, buddy?
What's your thoughts? Anthony Joshua, class. Deontay Wilder, not so much. And what do you think? Is Anthony Joshua making a big impact on boxing or what?
You want tuna that tastes good, or you want tuna with good taste?
Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, Charlie. Starkists don't want tunas that have good taste. Starkist wants tunas that taste good.
Tastes good. As he's conducting an orchestra underwater.
Yeah, underwater.
Oh gosh, I'll tell you, there's funny things that we remember, isn't it? Well, that's why our childhood was so corrupt. I'm teasing.
Yeah, well,
hey, listen,
I don't remember what I had for dinner.
Forget about it. It wasn't tuna.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
I'll tell you what. Anthony Joshua has class. He's a good man. In and out of the ring, he carries himself as a champion. You would expect a champion to do so. He knows he's in the limelight. And like I said, if you're going to have children or youth or people that have anybody that they can look up to, I don't want to quite say idolize, but look up to and see who leads by example, I think Anthony Joshua definitely takes that baton and he's running with it properly. And I like him. I saw a comment on the public airways this morning, I shared with you earlier, that Deontay Wilder made, and I'll tell you, Bill, I was very turned off by it, especially coming from Deontay Wilder, who's supposed to carry himself with a little bit of class himself and conduct himself with his little statement I really did not like.
Well, the statement that you're referring to is he said if Stiverne beats him, because Stiverne was, not making excuses, but, he said the first time he fought Wilder, he was sick, he was this, he was that, he had a, ingrown toenail, I don't know. And Deontay Wilder, basically, his comment that you're referring to said, well, if Stiverne beats me, I'm retiring from boxing. That's Deontay. Deontay, I didn't find that as offensive as you did. And the reason why is because Deontay, the one thing I like about Deontay is that he's got a lot of confidence, and there's no question about that. And I think what he meant by that, and I don't know this for sure, but I think that what he meant by that is, hey, he should be able to beat Stiverne, and if he can't, then maybe he's not as good as he thinks. And that really is the irony of it, because his team knows he's not as good as he thinks. We all know he's not as good as he thinks, or at least we want him to prove it to us. And by beating Stiverne is not going to really prove anything. So far, everybody he's beaten hasn't proven anything. He hasn't had that career-defining fight like you mentioned the other day. And, Anthony Joshua has. And I see him just grasping for straws, really. Anthony Joshua has made an impact on the sport of boxing in a positive way. And, I talk to people all the time about the sport, every day, and I'm shocked at how many people have heard of him. Generally, when Klitschko was a champ, I mean, people would say, oh, yeah, who's the champ? That Russian guy. They wouldn't know his name, but they just knew, like, where he was from. But people know Anthony Joshua, It was I think that's a good thing, and I like the impact he's making on it. I think he's attracting people back to the sport. I mean, what do you think?
I think you're right. I think, he's got some charisma, he's got the class, and he's got the power strength, and, he brings a good fight to the table, and that's what fight fans would like to see. And I think that what he does bring is a little bit of that level of class and excitement that people desire. And let's face it, it hasn't been all illustrious and that exciting to watch as many heavyweights before over the last couple of years. So I think he's good for the game, Bill. I think he really is. And you know what, though, Bill? I think as many people that do know him, I think when he fights in the United States and it's celebrated, I think it'll be even more so that he will capture more fans if he comes to the States, because I think there are those out there that, just for whatever reason, don't pay attention as much to the European boxing circuit, even though, yes, they have been carrying boxing on their back, and they have proved to be. We had some people coming in from England the other night to the restaurant, and we were talking, and as soon as he opened his mouth and started talking boxing, I said, "Hey, we talk about one of your class acts right now," and that was Anthony Joshua. And the guy was almost bowled over, like, "Wow, you know Anthony?" I said, "Well, I don't know him personally, but we think he's a great fighter. We talk about him every day. Here's our card. Here's what you got to go listen to in the morning. You'll hear us talk about Anthony Joshua all the time." So he was excited about that. But I think more people in the United States will become aware of Anthony Joshua and who he is and who he's not, versus who he's not, if he comes to the United States and fights. It's just a matter of, marketing and doing so.
Yeah, well, there's no question that Anthony Joshua is making an impact on the sport and its fans. And this is what we need. I think somewhere along the line, we've taken a bad turn. And, especially with some of the people that were in the headlines for the sport of boxing, sometimes they're out of the ring. They're out of the ring news overshadows their inside the ring news. And, people look at that and say, oh, yeah, that's why I don't want to follow boxing. And listen, boxing's not the only sport. We see it with every other sport. I mean, some of these athletes of today are a disgrace, but especially for the money they're making. But Anthony Joshua is definitely a positive influence, not only on the sport, but on sports in general, as a human being. And the thing is that if there's anybody in the sport, a fan I'm talking about, that really doesn't recognize how much the UK is carrying this sport on its back, then they don't know boxing. The United States, we have a tendency to think who the hell we are here in the United States. I remember taking a fighter, I'm not going to mention his name, but we went over to France, and we were doing a world title fight. And, here we are, the team, all from the United States, and we're in France. We're not even in a touristy part of France. We're in the beautiful mountains of France, and we're in a restaurant, and we're trying to order something to eat, but nobody spoke English, and which, we're in France, right? So, this guy says, the fighter turns around and he gets all pissed off, and he yells at the top of his lungs, "Doesn't anybody around here speak English?" And I looked at him and I go, so-and-so, we're in France, man. I mean, we can't expect them to speak English, I mean, and it dawned on me at that point, that's why a lot of countries hate the United States, because we think who we are. And the truth of the matter is, we ain't all that anymore. We're really not. We got a lot of things that we need to correct in this country. And boxing is just an example of how, like some of these fighters say, oh, well, hey, they want to make some money, they got to come over here. They got to go fight in the U.S. No, they don't. Not when they can sell out 90,000 seats in an arena and still get pay-per-view buys and stuff like that. But anyway, I've been really enjoying this diary that my man Johnston Brown has been forwarding me on a daily basis. And I got the newest one, man. You ready to read it and comment on it?
Absolutely. Let's hear it right now.
All right. Here we go.
All
First
right.
and foremost, Johnson says, "Hey, Billy C. I'm not even reading these myself anymore. I'm just listening to you and Sal read them. You guys are doing a great job." He says, by the way, did you catch the interview with Larry Holmes on Anthony Joshua? Holmes seems to think the U.S. doesn't know him. Would you say that statement is correct? No. I think, hey, listen, no disrespect to Larry Holmes, Hall of Famer, one of the best heavyweights of all time. I think he's wrong. I think boxing fans certainly know who Anthony Joshua is. What do you think, Sal? I mean, we were just talking about. I think he's.
We
known.
were. I'll tell you, Bill, and that's what I'm trying to hint to. I don't think that Anthony Joshua is as well known as he should be in the United States, and that's to the casual boxing fan, and even the ones that say they follow boxing. I don't think they're being proactive enough to really, as Wild World of Sports used to present so well, the up close and personal view of a fighter. And that's, again, we're being the Americans we are, and we're looking back at the 70s and 80s when we had a lot of, as I often refer to, a lot of domestic champions that we did know. They were in our backyard. We talked about them. They were on TV. They were in the media. They were in the press, and necessarily for all the right reasons. They were involved with boxing, fighting, not the antics and shenanigans that go on today as much. But so we had our focus. We had our eyes. It was in the United States press, in the limelight. It was almost like a natural feed. And so I think, Joshua's out of that loop that we were used to hearing in the 70s and 80s, as we did with most fighters. So I do think that a presence or a fight or two in the United States will help project and encourage more fan base, a much larger fan base in the United States that are just like on the fringe now. I think he can gain and bring some people back into the fight game that are just looking at it from the outside now. That's what I mean by I think he could do more and have more of an impact if he does fight in the United States.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I mean, let's be real. The truth of the matter is simple. Over in Europe, and we're talking about England as well, but other countries in Europe too. The fighters seem to be more willing to fight the fights. They don't let things marinate, as Bob Arum invented that term. I think. I guess we got to give him the credit for it.
I think it was a chef that invented it.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. But you threw me off with that joke. Sometimes you do come out with funny ones, and that was one of the rare times. But
medium rare.
Yeah, medium. Not to be confused.
No, we'll beat this up. Watch out.
But the truth is that the fighters are more willing to fight. The fans don't shun them if they get a loss. As a matter of fact, if they show bottom, which is a term from Tom Molyneux days, which is like heart. People respect them even more over there. Here, they're shunned. They lost. They're exposed. And I respect the fighters more. I mean, this World Boxing Super Series is another great example. You have one U.S. fighter in the whole thing. Rob, and he's fighting this weekend. Anyway, let me read. This one is a decent length. So let me read it. This is Anthony Joshua's diary that's being published in the UK newspapers, and our very own Johnson Brown has been sending it to me to share with you guys. Anthony Joshua says, I only had 39 fights as an amateur, and people sometimes forget that Saturday's fight is just my 20th as a pro. The story was I was supposed to be a 2016 Rio Olympian, hopeful, and look to turn pro around now. So I'm still learning, as in theory I should have been in the amateurs until 2017. Again, the thing I like about this kid, Sal,
he's honest. Most fighters say I've had 100 amateur fights. You can't document it, but hey.
Well, there is a similarity between him and Deontay Wilder and their lack of amateur experience. I mean, Deontay didn't have. I think he had around the same amount of fights as well. Him, pulling up a bronze and AJ getting the gold. But I love the fact that this guy admits that he's learning, and it's a scary thought if you think of a guy like Anthony Joshua, who's clearly on the rise and clearly getting better and better. I mean, how dominating can he be if we haven't even scratched the surface of his abilities? I mean, I believe that we have not seen the best Anthony Joshua. I do believe we've seen the best that Deontay Wilder has to offer. I can't see Deontay Wilder improving, although the best fight I thought Deontay Wilder has had in terms of technique and displaying his boxing ability was his first fight against Stavern, where he fought a smart fight, utilizing his height and reach, but he's never fought like that again. And I think that he has gotten into the habit of headhunting so much that that's his only style now. It's going to be interesting to see how he fights Stavern again next weekend. But considering that AJ is admitting that he's still learning, I mean, the door seems wide open with this kid, don't you think?
I think it does. I mean, I think he's got a long way to go, and you can tell there's a little rawness in his actions sometimes. But like I tell you, he grew tremendously, and he learned about himself, and he's reflecting it in his diary with us and sharing it with that whole fight against Klitschko. I think that it reflected a lot about what his inner thoughts were, and the first time he had to pick himself up and come back and regroup himself on that 1 minute stool rest, and it's a lot when a fighter shares that. And these are all things that when you have so many amateur fights that you've already experienced and you already put into perspective, and you already have to prepare for it so it does or does not happen again, whichever is good or bad. And these are the opportunities we're going to see as he grows. And it's funny because, not to contradict our earlier statements where we say, once you're a champion, you shouldn't be developing, but on this level. And even with, I don't think we've seen the best Deontay Wilder yet. And I think there is going to be more that he can show us. So I'm giving him some credit, and I'm also giving him some margin of error here to develop and show us what he can do when he's tested with the proper opponents. But I think Anthony Joshua is going to be more of a pleasant surprise for us to watch and see, because he can grow and he can remain and he can stay there as the number one heavyweight for a very long period of time if he's careful, if he's brought along carefully and learns from his craft.
Yeah, no, I just want to comment real quick because I got to take a break. But we have I'm communicating on our Facebook simulcast that we're doing. And by the way, if you're watching us on Facebook live, don't forget the quality version of the show is being simulcast up on YouTube right now. But my man Ernie said, he's got 2 titles. Why is he talking about still learning? Why is he talking about amateurs? And he's right, because I've said this before, Sal. Once a fighter becomes a world champion, you can't talk about I'm still learning and stuff because you're already a champ. Whether you're still learning or not. I just take this. The reason why I'm being more positive about that statement is because of what appears to me with AJ is humble, being humble, and
I agree. I agree with you.
That he's just. But I do agree. Once you're a champion, you're the champion. Now you got to take on all comers. Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I got some more of the diary that AJ is posting in the UK papers. Don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now.
I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
That was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I look, I would say 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And Sal and I are talking about the open diary that my man AJ is posting over in the UK in the newspapers. So I'm going to continue reading that and give you guys my thoughts. I want to just give a shout out to everybody that's watching and listening. Don't forget, we have the chat room up on BillyCBoxing.com is generally the one that we respond to, but I'm just going to give a shout out to my man Perry, who's been saying some great stuff with me back and forth over on the Facebook live stream, and Ernie too, who I see in there on a regular basis. And Ernie just made an interesting point about Anthony Joshua getting dropped. You know, I mean, he has hit the canvas, but I think that that is not as negative as some people think. You know, I think that sometimes, Sal, that's maybe what AJ's talking about learning. You know, he is trying to tighten up his defense, and what I do see with Anthony Joshua when he fights is he seems very technically sound, something that I don't see with Deontay. And I think that some of the problem with Deontay, and I said this on yesterday's show, it's not really Deontay's fault. I think when they were talking in his ear, telling him how great he was, trying to build up his confidence along the way, I think, you know, he's become, and I'm talking about Deontay now, he's become kind of complacent with just blowing people away with his power. I mean, he thinks he's got this, superhuman strength. And I think that that's where it's going to hurt him because, like I'm saying to these guys over on Facebook stream, that Deontay Wilder displayed good boxing skill under Breland's tutelage in the first Stavern fight. He utilized his jab, his arm reach, and won that fight and was smart, fought a smart fight, something that we don't see him do often. And AJ, on the other hand, seems to be fighting a little smarter. And it's going to be an interesting fight when they do get in the ring, and they will. I believe that fight will happen, Sal.
It will. 2018 is going to happen. I feel it. And, like I said, Bill, I know it's a debatable issue, but I still really believe, especially under the tutelage of Mark Breland, I think we have not seen the best Deontay Wilder. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, a mega man, and all of a sudden take the wrapping off the gift and he's going to be boxing and mystifying the fans. Well, wow, where do we see this? I think he's got a little more room for improvement. I think he's going to show us that. He's been able to depend on his power, his freakish power, punching, and that's an equalizer. And that's why you can't count him out. Until you count him out against a fighter like Anthony Joshua. And so I think it's going to be a great showdown. I think it's going to be a great fight. And as many rounds as it lasts, I think both fighters will have some moments.
True. I mean,
I believe so. I just believe that. I don't think it's going to be lay down for either fighter, but I do believe it's going to be a knockout.
Oh no, that fight will not. When Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder finally get it on, it will not be a fight that goes to the scorecard. I would be shocked if it did. I would be shocked if it did.
I don't think it will.
Anyway, let me read a little more. AJ goes on to say, it's been a fast-track process, but I feel more comfortable in my skin. I've got the experience that I need, so I don't stress about anything because I've got that to draw upon. I think he's still referring to the Klitschko fight like it was yesterday. You and I talked off the air. This is a guy that's got to put that Klitschko fight behind him. Otherwise, Carlos Takam could upset the apple cart on Saturday. And change everything. But then we'll be talking about AJ was exposed. He's a bum. But anyway, he says I love it all. The motivation is strong. The hunger's there. And I want the big nights and more. Let's see. He said, I love it all. The motivation is strong, and the hunger is there for big nights. Maybe he meant big fights and winning more titles. Everyone is in the mix to face me. I have so many options. Sometimes I wonder if people really do want to fight me or they just say it. There's a difference between fighting me because you think you can beat me and fighting me just for the paycheck or to get your name out there. He says, I think I'm capable of beating everyone out there, but I have to keep my feet on the ground at the same time. A lot of people talking about Tyson Fury and myself getting it together in the ring, and we speak not talking like mates, just I want to knock you out, that sort of thing. Trust me, we will get down and dirty as soon as we can. Everything you see on social media is the same behind the scenes. Fury has not gotten a license at the moment, but was saying he expects to have 3 big fights in 2018. He brings attention to the sport, so of course we want him to come back. He's not like many other champions. For example, Mike Tyson, who was all action. Fury is a different breed, especially at 6'9", and he's rangy. The style to beat Fury is the Tyson style. You need a lot of energy, otherwise he'll play with you. Tall boxers are often described like trees where you need to chop them down and gradually. But if you don't have the success with Fury, you could get disheartened because 12 rounds with him would be a long time. You need physical and mental strength against the Fury type of an opponent, and that's why I want to fight him. I'm always going to be positive about Fury and think that he's going to come back. That's the fight we all want. It's a brilliant fight. We've all been through tough times, and I generally hope that he can get through this and come back because the division will be better with him there. He says what you want from Tyson Fury is for him to bounce back from this, face the hearing, and deal with it head on so you can move on because that's what we all want him back. But Carlos Takam is the next man to face me, and that's Saturday night. Then Deontay Wilder is possibly the next threat. However, I also want the rematch with Dillian Whyte. I even brought up his name for Cardiff, but Takam is higher ranked. You need Whyte's mentality in a proper fight. In short, amateur bouts, you need skill. In 12-round heavyweight title fights, you need a bit of skill and a lot of heart and guts. If Dillian Whyte fought Deontay Wilder, he'd give him problems. I could go on and on. I'm sorry. He says, I could go on to have 40 or 50 fights and win them all and have a great career, but in years to come, people will remember my fights against White along with the one with Klitschko. That's why I wanted the Klitschko rematch, and that's why I want a White rematch, because we bring the best out of each other. Who knows what's next, though first things first to calm. Wow. It makes me wonder about this. And I read it for the first time just now, so
right.
My mind is moving. It makes me wonder. Tyson Fury, still young. He seems, to have a big desire to fight Tyson Fury. I know domestically over in England that would be a huge fight, huge moneymaker for both of them. And Tyson Fury, exactly how AJ describes it, is not an easy fight because of his lanky range type fight. I mean, he's not I've always said Tyson Fury doesn't blow you away with punching power, even though he's 6'9". You would think that he lands a punch, you're going to sleep, and that's not the case. I also find it amusing that Deontay Wilder. It seems like Anthony Joshua isn't even looking at Deontay Wilder as a big threat to him. I mean, I agree with AJ, but mentioning guys like Dillian White and Tyson Fury, kind of, he seems to want to keep it domestic. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do, and between you and I and the tree outside, I don't think we're going to see a Fury come back the way that some people would like to see. I don't think he's ever going to resurrect his career to be on top again. I could be wrong. I mean, he's got a lot of youth on his side, but I think he's too far past the point of no return. And if he can come back and does make a blinder, put the blinders on and makes a commitment and promise, and maybe we'll see a more mature, able to handle situations and a little more steadfast in his mentality or mindset, that he could put the focus on and come. I think, as much as I like to see Tyson Fury get back in the ring and get back in world-class shape and everything else, I think it's too far gone for him. I don't know if he can make that commitment, if he could put those blinders on and do that. And 30, 40 years after his career has ended, that says a lot. So I like you said earlier, Bill, AJ is a class act. I think he's one of the bright lights of what we need in the sport of boxing, and I will not take anything away from him, and I definitely think he is the real deal. So with that being said, I think he's ready for all oncomers.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we got some more thoughts on that coming up here in a minute, but we got those two quick commercial breaks that I'm required to do, and guess what? We're at one now. Don't go no ways.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Stop living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now.
I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
And it was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I at least look, I would say, 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. And I'm here with my man Sal, Rocky Cenicola. And we're just got done reading the latest installment of Anthony Joshua's diary, he's calling it, over in England. And he talked a lot about Tyson Fury in the latest installment there, Sal. And you know, he talked about Dillian White, and he talked about, you know, two guys that are domestic to him, and, briefly mentioned, Deontay. Of course, Team Wilder is going to spin that like he's afraid of him. But I think some of the problem that's already beginning is that Deontay Wilder's team is presenting and acting like they're the guys that that AJ has to go to. And I think it's the other way around. I personally think that AJ is the man in the heavyweight division, and Deontay Wilder has to go to him. The number of fights does not mean anything. I think that, when you look at the guy who beat the guy who beat the guy, theoretically, Tyson Fury was the guy who beat Klitschko. Tyson Fury went off the deep end, lost his mind or whatever. Klitschko fought Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua beat Klitschko in an epic fight. He's the guy now, in my opinion, not Deontay. What's your thoughts?
Well, it depends on what sanctioning body you favor. That's the whole trouble with, us living in one world and not having one champion. It's debatable. And I do see your point, and not to be the devil's advocate, but, there's going to be points made on both sides of the aisle. And that's why a unification fight is going to bring out the best in each fighter. And I think the better man will win and will take on additional belts. I think, Anthony Joshua is young in his career. Not just age-wise. I think, what he's got to show and prove. And like we said with his last fight with Klitschko, there were some things on one side of the aisle that could say, hey, well, he was exposed. But there's other things that could say, hey, he regrouped, he covered, he learned, and he's prepared for more surprises in the future that he can adapt and overcome within the span of this so-called fight. So, it's a level of maturity that a fighter possesses, that he can deal with certain things. The fight or flight syndrome, this and that, it goes on and on and on. I think Anthony Joshua has all the tools necessary to sustain and carry himself for a long period of time as the heavyweight champion of the world. As far as him having to go to Deontay Wilder, I think it should be a meeting of both camps wanting to prove that their fighter is the best fighter in the heavyweight division on this planet. And I think it should be a meeting of the minds, a meeting of the contracts, and a meeting of let's walk and meet in the middle. Otherwise, you're going to have both sides debating. Well, he's got to come to me, and he's got to come to me. They're both the two most dominant, respected heavyweights in the division right now, and that's why there are the contenders coming to each of them. Well, these fighters should try and meet in the middle and unify and meet each other and come to each other.
Did I hear a toaster oven ding in the background over there? Are you eating during this show, you bastard?
Oh boy, I can't do anything without being in social media. I swear.
Let me tell you.
Well, you heard. I was gonna say, if you heard that ding, that was like a bell. I have fights going on in the background.
It sounds like to me your bagel is ready, you bastard. That's what it sounds like to me. But
it's my bagel, you fat bastard.
It's your bagel.
No, it was actually. I take vitamins in the morning. And if I take them on an empty stomach, like I did 40 minutes ago, I get a little nausea. So what I do is I have ciabatta bread, and I cut a nice thin piece of ciabatta bread. It's a beautiful, airy bread. I love it. And I put a little bit of the Smart Balance margarine on there because it's Smart Balance. And then I do eat that, and that settles my stomach a little bit if I eat or take vitamins on an empty stomach. That's what you heard the thing did.
Yeah, all I know is during this show, you get to take breaks, you get to go and use the bathroom.
You give me the 2 minutes, man. I'm taking advantage. I'm running up the stairs. I'm doing a sprint. I'm going here.
You fill up your
My
coffee.
restaurant.
Yeah, you fill up the coffee. You make yourself a bagel. I'm sitting here starving.
Yeah, I took and ate the toast out of the toaster. That's why you heard the after effect. It was still toasting. I ate it. It wasn't dark yet.
Yeah.
And the bell, was about a minute after, I ate the toast. So yeah.
Anyway, we see who's got.
You hear the ding. You heard the ding.
I got to renew my con. I got to redo the con. I need time to go and eat my bagel too. I need to.
Let's look at this contract. Let's negotiate. I'll meet you halfway.
Anthony Joshua had another quote that I just want to get out there. He said, "I think the UK has been sending a statement for boxing for a long time. It wasn't so long ago that the UK heavyweights, or all boxers for that matter, weren't even getting a look. Now, all the Americans are talking about the UK fighters. We've definitely been sending a statement over to the States now for a long time." He says, "Joseph Parker and Deontay Wilder can watch me a million times, but it's so different when you get inside the ropes. When you get in there, you can watch somebody a million times, but it's different. It's a challenge when you see someone and face someone face to face." I agree with that, and listen. I've been saying, and for that matter, Canada was real important with the sport of boxing too. They kind of fizzled out over the last year and a half, but I've been saying that the UK has been carrying the sport on their back for quite some time, Sal, and it's very evident now. I mean, if you're a boxing fan now and you're not recognizing the quality fighters that we have coming from the UK, then you're not a boxing fan. And again, I think the reason why they're better, and let's face it, they're better. And the reason why they are is because they're fighting and challenging themselves on the way up. I've said this a million times. As a matter of fact, I wish I had a nickel for every time I said it. I'd be rich. I wouldn't even have to do the show. But the truth of the matter is if you increase your level of opposition with fights, if you're a young fighter and you're moving up. Now, I'm not talking about putting your fighter in with a murderer, a killer, every single time. But every fight, as a young fighter is progressing, moving up the ladder, has to be a progressively harder fight. Because if they don't do that, they don't get better. I've used the analogy about other sports teams. If you're not going to play better teams, you as a team are not going to get better. And it's the same as in the fight game. You know, these guys have to, get better. And the only way you're going to get better is if your opponent is better. You know, in the U.S., they have a tendency to feed a fighter cupcake after cupcake after cupcake until they become a diabetic. No, they feed them cupcake after cupcake, and then all of a sudden, they give them a shot. I mean, a great example of that was this past weekend at the fight I was ringside for when Machado upset Jezreel Corrales. But when you really dissect both, and he made a great, he took advantage of a great opportunity, but he was losing every round. He was outclassed just because he's a power puncher. He landed a shot. Now, the pressure's on a guy like Machado to get better. And quite honestly, when you look at Jezreel Corrales, who the hell did he fight and beat? I mean, the level of these guys are we call him a champion, but who have they fought? We've talked about this many times. The way to get better, and even with the diluted contenders that we have, because each sanctioning body has their own top 10, top 15 contenders, whatever sanctioning body you're married to, you should be fighting the guy above you. It's climbing the ladder. Where the hell did that term come from? If you're ranked at number 15, you want to fight a guy above you, number 10, number 12. You beat him, then you move up. Then you fight, and you work your way up to number 1. If you do that, like you're climbing a ladder, you're going to get better and better and better. Then when you get your world championship shot, not only do you fare better against the champion, but you have a much better opportunity to hold on to the title longer. I mean, that's the problem today, and that's where the UK fighters are kicking the United States fighters' ass, because they're willing to fight each other earlier on. They challenge themselves, and should they come up with the L, they come back better than they were before, and that is the name of the game. Sal, what do you think?
I think you're right on. I mean, that's the whole thing, and yesteryear, I'm only talking reference back to my era. When Richie Giacchetti would work with Russell Peltz out of Philadelphia, and Russell Peltz was also a promoter for Tiger Eye Limited, partnered up with Sylvester Stallone, and I remember all the fights they were bringing me along in the Sands Casino or so, and they were getting progressively stepped up here and there and everything else, and it was a great learning tool for me. And even though I was already sparring world-class fighters, and Aaron Pryor, this one and that, I learned a lot with those guys as well. But when you're in the actual fight scenario, you want to step up, you want to climb that ladder, you want to fight better and better and better of opposition, and you should welcome that opportunity, because it is bringing you along and honing in on your craft and testing yourself, and that's the way to do it. But I don't see all that happening as much today, and you are correct.
I just gotta make a quick comment here, and like I always tell everybody, you want me to comment on your thoughts and stuff, you got to come over on the Billy C Boxing chat room. But my man Ernie White just made a comment on Facebook that I agree with 100%. He says, "What has boxing become when we're looking at who's on the A side and who's on the B side?"
That's right.
And he's right. I mean,
wow. What? Let's,
it's like now, and basically what he's saying is, boxing has become a point where if you're a fighter, you're negotiating. Well, I'm the A side. Look at Canelo and Triple G. Well, I'm the A side. I get to come out first. I get to do this. I get to do that. And all they care about is being the A side. The guy. I was at the fights this past weekend up at Turning Stone, and everybody in the red corner won except for the upset, except for Machado. Those guys were the A side. That was the promoter side. And the truth of the matter is, if the fight fan, you see, Ernie. And I'm saying this to Ernie and everybody else. The problem is the fight fans had drank the Kool-Aid that was shoved down their throats over the last decade to be looking at the wrong things. They're looking at the O's. They're looking at the A side. They're looking at belts that don't mean anything. This is what they regard as a good fighter, and that's where the problem lies. The 100% I agree. If you have two fighters, the best scenario, Sal, and you and I have talked about this a million times, The best scenario is when you're talking about a fight coming up and you have conflicting opinion on who's going to win the fight. That tells us that the fight is evenly matched. When you are watching a fight that's coming up and it's being billed, oh, this championship fight, Keith Thurman is fighting this guy or that guy, and everybody says, who you picking? Thurman. Who you picking? Thurman. Who you picking? Thurman. Well, guess what? That means it's not a competitive fight. That means it's a showcase fight. But yet, and that's been my hang up with Deontay Wilder. My problem with Deontay Wilder has nothing to do with him personally. It has to do with the level of opposition that he's fought and him pounding his chest saying he's the best after he knocks out a guy that he's supposed to knock out. And by the way, he's supposed to knock him out sooner than he does. So the truth of the matter is fighters need to get back to the business. The business is fighting. Somewhere along the line, in our world today, boxing's too dangerous. So you don't want to challenge yourself. It's safety first. You don't want to fight the tough fights, but you want to make the most money. I get it, man. You want to make the most return for the least amount of risk. I get it. I understand. That's the way it is in any business, any sport, anything. But boxing, you put an asterisk next to the history. And the respect that you have to give to the fighters that came before you, that's something that's a little different than any other sport. And I think that fighters today, if they choose, if you're an individual that chooses, because nobody's forcing you into fighting, except my guy Tom Molyneux. He was a slave that was forced into fighting, but you got to read my book to find out that whole story. But nobody's forcing you into fighting today. And if you choose to become a professional fighter, you got to understand you're going to get hit, you're going to risk your life, and you may not make a nickel. So if you still are interested, sign up. If not, go be something else, right, Sal? I mean, how can you sugarcoat it?
Well, that's what we often say. When you elect to take on a profession of boxing and you have the skill set and you have the desire, you have the focus, you have the intellect, and I do mean that because you have to have the concentration to endure a 10-round bout on a minimum if you're going to beat somebody in boxing. I'm telling you. It's a lot of focus. For 40 minutes, you are in a fight, and you can't be daydreaming or doing anything else. So, it takes a lot of physical and mental strength, and it's a work in progress for a lot of fighters. And you elect to do this, then you got to be ready. And I think it's funny as the letter suggested. Today we're seeing A and B sides. How true is that? I think both fighters should enter the ring as a B and then come out one with an A. That'll be it.
Well, listen. The more evenly matched fights we have, the better it is, and it'll win people back. And let's keep in mind, we both have said this many times. We're in a banner year right now. We
are. It's a stellar year for boxing.
No question.
Rebooted, bam. We've been fortunate, Billy. We have had some great fights this year, and I only hope that they can sustain and the level of fights that we've seen. That 2018 will prove to be the continuing path.
Well, I think, and I know I'm going to get criticized for what I'm about to say.
I know you are.
You know what I'm going to say. But with Floyd Mayweather out of the picture, and let's hope he stays out. A lot of people think that what you've predicted is going to come true, that he and Manny Pacquiao will fight again. Manny Pacquiao's contract is up with Top Rank at the end of this year, and there is a chance that they fight again because, let's face it, Mayweather is going to have to pay the taxes that he owes from the McGregor fight. So, but listen, I think that he ruined the sport in a way, and I think with him out of the picture, and not cherry picking, and if you're an opponent that's going to fight Floyd, you had to win the lottery to fight Floyd. Without him in the picture, we have seen better matchups not only in his division, but in others as well. So I hope we continue that trend. But we got what do I got here? Do I got an email? Yeah, I do. I have one email I'm going to read. Here from my man Jesse. But first, let's get everybody caught up with some other sports real quick. World Series.
Yes.
What a game last night. The Astros evened up the series at a game apiece when they beat the Dodgers 7-6. You know, the Dodgers had 5 hits and scored 6 runs. You know, obviously there was a couple of walks issued. The Astros were hitting the crap out of the ball yesterday. 14 hits. But credit to the Dodgers for buckling down and keeping the game a little closer than it was. But at the end, the Astros won 7-6. The series is tied. It goes to Houston next. Saturday, you will see Lance McCullers Jr. Take the mound for the Astros, and Yu Darvish for the Dodgers. So looking forward to this. This is shaping up to be a pretty exciting World Series. In other sports, in the NBA, the Hornets beat the Nuggets 110-93. The Pistons over the Timberwolves 122-101. The Rockets squeaked past the 76ers 105-104. My Nets got a win over the Cavs, no doubt, 112-107. The Spurs beat the Heat 117-100. The Thunder, not from down under, the Thunder from Oklahoma City, won 114-96 over the Pacers. The Mavericks topped the Grizzlies 103-94. And the Grizzlies were just looking for some picnic baskets, Sal.
I was going to say, go for
the
it.
Suns beat the Jazz 97-88. The Warriors topped the Raptors 117-112. And the Lakers and the Wizards went into overtime, and the Lakers won 102-99. 2 games in the NHL. The Blue Jackets beat the Sabres 5-1. And the Blues beat the Flames. They beat those Flames 5-2. And you like that. I know you always like that. And tonight we got a Thursday Night Football. The Fish, the Dolphins, are taking on the Ravens. You know, being a lifelong Jet fan,
they did it with a porpoise. Porpoise.
Being a lifelong Jet fan, you know, for years I hated the Dolphins. I hated them. You know, but as I'm getting older and softer, and because of the fact that I spend so much time in the South, I kind of like the Dolphins, you know. And the teams I really despise are the Patriots, number 1, and the Giants, number 2. The Dolphins are going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. And the Ravens are favored in this game by 3.5 points. So if you like the Ravens, you're laying 3.5. My official pick tonight, Sal, is I'm going with the Fish. Not only do I like the Dolphins, but I think Moore in as a quarterback. Just the teams seem to move the ball a little better. Ajayi is a great running back. I love this kid from Boise State. I'm a big Boise State fan. So I'm picking the Dolphins. Not only do I think the Dolphins are going to, if I bet them plus 3.5, not only do I think the Dolphins are going to win me money, but I think they're going to win this game outright. I'm picking the Dolphins over the Ravens, and I'm looking forward to this game tonight. I like the Fish. I don't know.
I know you do. You know, I like the fish too, and usually I'll catch some of the kingfish out here and some of the others. But no, let me tell you something.
Wait a minute. I heard the most fish you catch are crabs.
You know, let me tell you something. We get a lot of crabs down here, and they're the best. But let me tell you,
not that kind of crab.
I know where you were going, and I wasn't going to go down that same path.
I know, because you never know who's listening. Right, Sal?
I catch barracuda. I catch cobia. I can't even catch a coal, but I could catch fish. Let me tell you something.
Then how come when I asked you to let's go fishing, you're like, what's that?
You know what? You know, you did ask me that last time. But you know, when we do fish off the pier, you know, you're gonna get some of the pier fish, but you know they caught an 18-inch tiger shark, an 18-foot tiger shark world record off that pier on St. Simon's years ago.
Why can't we go out on a boat?
It is the world's largest breeding ground for hammerheads right where we are in the pier there.
Hey,
so
listen.
We can definitely catch a lot of shark.
Listen, you hammerhead. let me tell you, it is you ballpoint banana pen. But next time we go, we don't need the pier. Let's rent the boat.
We rent the boat. We'll go on a boat, and I'll tell you what, Billy, that's a promise. We're gonna go fishing. And I'm going to take you out there. Even if we get a captain, we charter a boat to go out to the international waterways or whatever we can do there. The Gulf Stream. Gulf Stream will catch anything.
I want to see.
Let me tell you something.
I want to see you on
Kayla, for my birthday a couple of years ago, we brought the kids. We went out. We hired a captain. This guy was unbelievable. We caught barracuda, we caught cobia, we caught albacore, we caught everything. I couldn't believe it. We loaded we were out 4:30 in the morning catching bait. We got by 12:30 in the afternoon. We were all tired. We had the boat loaded. We couldn't fit any more fish, and then it took like 2 hours to clean them. But it was unbelievable the things that we caught. It was unbelievable. He caught the fish were bigger than my kids at the time, like 55 inches tall, this and that, a 23-inch girth. I mean, it was real fishing, and I loved it. It was great. So I got to take you on a trip. When we go fishing, we're going to go fishing.
I'll tell you what.
And I do like the dolphins too. And we have Mr. Huizinga that comes into the restaurant, or he comes into the island many times, and along with some of the quarterbacks and some of the players, they've been on the island. They come to St. Simon's quite a bit. So I am a Dolphins fan too. My heart's always in New York with the Yankees and Giants, and now the Jets, because I know Pat Ryan comes to the restaurant. But I will tell you this: when I do like the Southern teams, aside from Atlanta baseball and football, I do love the Miami Dolphins.
You're such an ass kisser. You really are. You are. And all that fish talk is nothing more than a tall fish story.
I'm very diplomatic in my later years.
I tell you what, you're telling some fish stories. I mean, it's a good thing I'm sitting on a high chair because it's getting kind of deep in here. But
pick up your feet.
Yeah, no, they're up. They're up. But anyway, I'm going to take you up on that. You better start booking that because if you can get that set, I'll be down next week. So, but anyway, hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I got an email to read. I got some news to catch up on. All that stuff is coming up in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And, I'm starting to really get sick of watching you eating and drinking on the camera, man. You
didn't hear me chewing that toast.
I had you muted. I had you muted, but trust me, I saw it all. But anyway, I got an email to read, Sal. You're lucky. One of these days, same thing with Alex yesterday. One of these days, I'm going to have the camera on you guys when you think, you're all safe. You and Dax talking and laughing and high-fiving each other. You think it's all big fun and games. It's all big fun and games, right? Poor Billy C is on the limelight, right? Well, you guys are all having fun, eating and drinking and everything. And I can't even get up to take a leak, But anyway.
I'm telling you should put a little barrel around your dog's neck like the little Siberian, or the little St. Bernard's do in Alaska.
Yeah, my man name it is
David.
Yeah, that's
the dog's name.
Yeah,
name it.
That's his name. He's
or are you still are you still trying to think of a name?
No. You know what, Sal? That's right. You're gonna be dead to me soon. I'm gonna be muting you forever. But he's not feeling good today. He's not feeling good.
Does he wear stockings?
No. But he does. But he did sign a pretty big contract. I tell you that.
I bet he did. Did he stay at the Holiday Inn Express last night?
No, that's what I did. That's how I know about dogs all of a sudden. But anyway, we got an email. This is from Jesse. He says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal. Billy, can you ask Alex if he saw the Edwin Valero movie El Inca? I heard, though, that movie has been removed from being released because the family doesn't want it shown. I don't believe the computer... I'm sorry, he says, I don't believe the computer game. It's almost like you say, the magic computer box he's got. That had Edwin Valero beaten Mikey Garcia 68 times. I actually believe Mikey Garcia wins 90% of the fights. Yes, Edwin hit hard and fast with good counter combinations, but his defense was suspect with no head movement and his chin sticking out. Yes, I will ask Alex for you. And as far as Mikey Garcia, I said that yesterday. I mean, Edwin Valero was an extremely vicious fighter, reminiscent of an early Mike Tyson in his approach. Get his opponent out of there and get him out as quickly as possible, and the style that he threw his punches and bad intentions every punch. He just wanted to end it quickly, and his defense was suspect because this is what happens when fighters don't get challenged and they're blowing their opponents away. They start to forget defense. This is also one of my issues about Deontay Wilder. But I do agree with Jesse. I think Mikey Garcia is a special fighter. And I think Mikey Garcia is more well-rounded. And I think that should he have fought Edwin Valero, both in their prime, Mikey Garcia, because of his multiple skill set, might have made that fight a little more difficult than the title bout championship computer game suggests. He said, also, I heard in an interview that Kid Galahad wants a featherweight tournament in that division, such as Abner, Mares, Frampton, Diaz, Warrington, Selby, Leo Santa Cruz, and Kid Galahad. Basically, all the top tens. He calls Leo and Abner not real featherweights, but bantamweights. Your thoughts on that? Who wins in that tournament? Like we was talking about yesterday with Larry, the tournament. I love the tournament scene. I love it. The thing I love the most is that you don't know who you're going to fight. Everybody in the tournament is a potential opponent for you, and then it starts to come into shape and into focus. As the tournament goes on, there's a lot of risk in those tournaments, and I applaud the fighters who have the balls to do it. And I think that this is what hurts my feelings a little bit, Sal, with the lack of Americans in the World Boxing Super Series. I think it just indicates how, the majority of the American fighters don't want to fight. I mean, I don't know what else to say. They don't want to risk anything. And, I guess you can't blame them. You have to blame the networks for putting the value in an O so much that a fighter would walk away from a potentially exciting fight that could make them more money down the road in favor of a showcase fight and keep their O intact. It's just a different mentality. It really is.
Well, it is. And like I said, I think if you look back over the last 30, 40 years, and I'm going to tell you, there were a lot of mindsets of promoters or managers, if you will, that wanted to bring their fighters up following, like I said, the 76 Olympic team was a stellar team, was a fascinating team. And we all wanted to see all our domestic gold medalists have a title shot. And so they were all on a fast track to get a title shot. Well, there were a lot of fighters in the 80s that their managers tried to emulate that fast track, but just by feeding them fodder and just by letting them build up their records fast. And then all of a sudden they were thrown in with a real championship fight or so, and a lot of them came up short. So this is the cycle. I think a lot of promoters or managers, if you will, are trying to feed their fighters a little bit similar. Keep the O intact, and they'll get you a faster title shot. And so I don't think they're feeding their fighters the natural progression, as we would hope to see these fighters improving and steadily gaining their skill and experience with fighting better and better and better opposition along their way. So that's the contrast, and that's history repeating itself. That's all.
Yeah. No. Good point. Good point.
I got a good point. You see, when I use it on a pen.
Yeah. Was that a funny one?
That was bad. Go ahead.
Funny?
Forget about
Sorry, it wasn't. He says, will you watch the Rob Brandt and Jürgen Brähmer fight? I think Brandt might be too green for Jürgen. He's going from Alexis Hurios to a tough veteran. This might be a repeat of the Eddie Ramirez versus DeMarco and Lubin versus Charlo fights. I would give Brandt more time to develop, given his resume. Brandt's resume doesn't impress me. I give him credit in taking the risk and going for it at such a young age. I see some video on Brandt, and he looks too slow and not experienced in his boxing skill. Here's the thing. Jürgen Brähmer's 197 years old, and his last several fights weren't too impressive either. Rob Brandt, I know he's a big underdog, but I think he's going to win this fight. And the reason why I think he's going to win this fight, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Jesse, in terms of his resume and his experience level, but the thing you got to remember about Rob Brandt is that Rob Brandt has been in the gym and has sparred with a lot of good fighters. So hopefully the thing I'm worried about with Rob Brandt isn't so much his ability physically. It's more of his ability mentally. Because he's been a sparring partner to so many fighters, does he have the sparring partner mentality? If once you become a sparring partner and you have what they call a sparring partner mentality, you're in there, you're just trying to work with the other guy, and you're not really trying to beat his ass. You're trying to help him. And these longtime sparring partners, or these guys that make a ton of money as a sparring partner, when they get their fights, they're going through the motions like they do all the time in the gym as a sparring partner. What's your thoughts on that, Sal?
That's very interesting, and I'll tell you what. I may get some people criticizing this, what I'm about to say, but there is maybe some little truth to that. I mean, first of all, when you spar, you're trying to do the best you can, but guess what? When I sparred, whenever I sparred Roberto Duran or I sparred Aaron Pryor, I felt I did more than hold my own, and it was great, and I loved it, and I learned a lot too, and but no way, shape in heaven or the other place, hell, did I ever enter the ring feeling like I was a sparring partner. I felt confident that, man, I've been in the ring with these world-class guys, and I'm holding my own. I feel good, and I'm confident. And no, I disagree with that. And look, there have been some great sparring partners in the past. Larry Holmes was Muhammad Ali's sparring partner for a while. So I think it really is depending on the mindset and the mentality of that sparring partner, whether they're going to blossom into a world-class professional themselves. And it's like I tell my kids, what separates a lot of the world-class from just the average or the contendership is right here, the mind. You unlock your mind. You feel you belong, you're going to belong. It's unbelievable. If you suppress it and just say, hey, I'm going to be a sparring partner the rest of my life, you get $600 a week, whatever it might be, you're gonna go along that path, and maybe you'll have a defeatist attitude when you get in a ring. I don't know. It's never happened to me, and I know there's some great sparring partners that started out in their career that evolved to become world champions. So it's all predicated on the individual.
True.
That's true. Of course it's true.
He says...
of course it is. Surely.
Jesse says, hey, Billy, I picked the Dodgers over the Astros in 6 games. I don't like either team, but I'm rooting for a California team. I don't like the Dodgers because they beat my A's in the 1988 World Series. I don't like the Astros because they're in the same league as the A's. Why is it that National League teams in the World Series play so tough when the AL teams carry the big hitters? The A's lost to the Dodgers in 88, even though the A's had the big boppers. Even the Giants beat powerful offensive teams like the Tigers and the Rangers. I don't know. You have a thought on that, Sal?
No, I really don't. I'm just locked in that my Yankees lost to the Houston Astros. And I'll tell you what, Houston has that to this year. I was thinking that maybe LA is going to be dominant, but I'll tell you, the way Houston played yesterday, they're going to be a tough team to beat for the World Series. I wouldn't give them a doubt that they can win this thing, but we'll see.
No, they can hit.
They can hit.
I think the National League, I think some of the tough thing, and specifically the hitting part, you see, when you're playing the National League team in their stadium, you're playing by National League rules, which you're taking one of your best hitters out of the lineup because there's no DH. I think that edge goes to the National League team. The other thing is I think the National League team generally has better pitching than the AL, which would also indicate why there's better hitters, it seems, in the AL. And National League teams have a tendency to play more what they call small ball. They'll sacrifice a pitcher or a hitter to move a base runner into scoring position more than the AL does. But hey, listen, last night's game was won by the hitters. I mean, there's nothing better than having a team full of hitters, Sal.
No, it's not. And what's really remarkable, Bill, we could debate the American League and the National League with a designated hitter or a pitcher hitting and batting in the lineup. And it's amazing to see how the managers can utilize the strategy to maximize each side's rule. And it really has strategic value behind it on both sides of the aisle. So that's what makes baseball interesting. It's not just that, but because it can literally turn on a dime and a ball, those long balls and short balls, and man, I'll tell you, I love baseball. It's a great game.
Don't forget the blue balls. Oh no, that's
the blue balls. You're a funny guy.
That's something else.
Okay.
The fight.
You're a funny guy.
There's a fight on November 25th. In case y'all forgot, In case y'all forgot that song, that was a top 10 hit by Roy Jones Jr. But in case y'all forgot, Saturday, November 25th at Madison Square Garden in New York City. New York City. The return of Sergey Kovalev. Does anybody really give a rat's ass about Kovalev? I mean, here's a guy that has fallen from grace, Sal. You know, and you know, the funny thing is that, you know, everything we talk about and complain about could be argued for Kovalev's, you know, for him, for his point, because, you know, I can't stand when the younger, and I always blame it on the young fans, but the younger fans are like, oh well, he was exposed, he lost, you know, he was overrated, he never fought anybody, blah 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 blah, and you could say that about Kovalev. Everybody's saying, oh, Kovalev, you know, dominated the division. Who did he fight? He finally steps in with a real fighter in Andre Ward. He can't beat him. I think, you know, you got to give credit to Andre Ward for beating him, but I think the reason you lost interest in Kovalev is the same reason I think the majority of the other people did too, and that is that he quit. You know, and
he got hit with a body shot and he couldn't get up.
No, but the
point
point
is, he didn't try to get up. He looked for a way out.
Well, you know, he should have got one of those, you know, those buttons, and he pressed for medical help. I've fallen, I can't get up. Somebody help me get up. But anyway, you know, the truth of the matter is that, you know, he quit, and you know, he was I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He kind of took on that persona as a bully, and then, you know, you stand up to the bully, and what happens? The bully runs like a bitch. And I think this fight between Kovalev and Shabransky, no one cares about it, and you know, it's kind of a joke. You know, it's going to be on HBO, and they just announced a co-feature the other day, Sullivan Barrera going up against Felix Valera. And Valera happens to be an interim champion from the WBA. Surprise, surprise. And Sullivan Barrera is a guy that, you know, is being touted by Main Events. We all know Main Events is the promoter for Kovalev. So you see Kovalev fighting the winner of that fight, but who cares? You know, I mean,
you know, I have no interest in it. As you said, Bill. You know what? I thought that I think that fight was coming up on a year ago, November 20th. It might have been last year. I'm not sure, but I know we watched that fight and we had a post-fight show, and I thought Kovalev did beat Andre Ward that first fight, and I thought he was robbed. It was a close fight. I gave him that 10-8 round when he knocked down Andre Ward. And I thought Andre Ward, because Kovalev took his foot off the pedal, came back strong in the later rounds. But I still think I had the majority of the rounds going to Kovalev. Now, there's others that will agree, others that will disagree. But he had every chance in the world, every opportunity in the world to back up what he supposedly did the first fight and what he was saying he was going to do the second fight. And I did not see that fighter. But giving Andre Ward credit, I think Andre Ward prepared more for a Kovalev fight than Kovalev prepared for a Ward fight. And that's the difference there. And Andre Ward was the better man that night. And we saw Kovalev quit. I saw Kovalev quit. And right there, I don't have no respect for him anymore. I don't care if I watch him fight again.
You know,
he's done.
The thing is this, and it's easy for me to say, but you know, there's a simple formula when you're in the ring with a boxer, a guy that has a boxing ability that can move and you know, hit you effectively on the move. And basically, you want to smother that guy. You want to go after him. You want to be aggressive. You know, you want to let your hands go. And that was the way that Kovalev needed to fight Andre Ward, and he didn't. Now, for whatever reason, why, and if you have to give Andre credit for preventing him from doing that. What's that, the ice cream man? What's that? What did you order?
That wasn't the toaster.
What did you
do?
That
was my phone. I haven't set up the alarm.
What did you do? What did you order, some toasted almonds to be delivered or what? Come on, man.
That was my ring bell. That was a round. That was the last round,
Listen,
man.
can you at least focus on the show while you're on it? I mean, come on,
I'm
man.
on it.
Come
Come on. I'm focusing. I got the
I don't
blinders
even know what the
on.
hell I was saying. I don't even know what I was saying. But listen.
No, I do.
You
Talking
gotta
about
be.
the
You
focus.
gotta
You're
be
talking about the
aggressive.
fight. You're talking about doing what you say and saying what you do.
I'm
You're talking about.
I'm thinking
tying
about
up
going to get a
fighter with
sandwich.
box.
I'm thinking about walking away and letting you take over so I can go get something to eat. But the thing is you got to be with those kinds of fighters, you got to have no respect and giving credit where credit's due. Andre Ward obviously did something to prevent the big bad bully to go after him with no respect because Kovalev didn't. And then he blames his trainer, John David Jackson. Well, you didn't teach me anything. Well, you're 100 years old. You're not going to teach your old dog new tricks. You're gonna fine tune what he's got. Nah, I'm with you. Kovalev lost my respect. I think that HBO broadcast is going to do very poorly numbers wise. And to quite honestly, HBO, who is the leader of cable boxing, boxing on cable television, is sinking into the abyss, and it's a shame. Because Showtime, although Showtime has a tendency to put some more entertaining fights on, the catch-22 there is you got to listen to Mario Ronaldo, the worst piece of garbage in the sport of boxing in terms of a commentator. Overshadows arguably one of the best in Al Bernstein. And then you got Lampley and Max Kellerman, who I like Max. I mean, I don't have anything against Max, but Lampley he's lost the ability to call a fight. And Andre Ward is technically sound, but there's just something about Andre I just don't like. He's pompous. He acts like who he is. And although I will say this, I did witness Andre Ward. He was always nice to me. I mean, every time I talked to him the other night. He's always nice to me. And I'll tell you something else. I was a little surprised at how much attention he got from the fans, considering he can't even sell out his own hometown. The fans did come up to him and wanted photos taken and stuff like that. But I'm with you. I could care less about Kovalev at this point.
Never, and this is it. I'm gonna have a bet here, gentleman's bet, gentlemanship. I don't think HBO is gonna do numbers at all. I really don't. Like you just said, Kovalev. I think Kovalev and Ward together made a good draw, made a good fight to want to see, and without even having to promote it well, a good boxing fan or a solid boxing fan would want to see that kind of fight. But in the same sense, I don't think these numbers are going to be good at all. You can mark my words, and I want to know about it. But I think HBO is going to fall flat on their face with this Kovalev fight.
I think the numbers are not going to do well, but you never know.
Never know.
Speaking about not doing well, Devon Alexander was a pretty good fighter. I enjoyed watching him fight. I had the luxury of seeing him ringside a couple of times, and he was a top fighter in the junior welterweight division. Then switched to welterweight, and was a world champion in both. But he's kind of been out of the scene for a while, and his brother has come, gotten out of jail, and he's turning his career back on. But it was announced earlier in the week that Devon Alexander is returning to the ring. He's going to be fighting on November 21st on a Tuesday night fight on FS1. So it's going to be interesting to see how he looks, shaking off some ring rust. He's taking on a journeyman fighter, so to speak, in Walter Castillo. So we'll see how he fares on November 21st. Speaking of other fights, Ishii Smith. This is, we talk about Al Heyman's fighters and his inability to keep them all busy and everything else. And with the announcement of these two fights that I'm going to mention right now, I think this is really showing you that the beginning of the end for Al Heyman and his fighters. Former world champion Ishii Smith, who is arguably the most boring fighter to watch, probably was one of the worst world champions, definitely in his weight class. But 29-8 with 12 knockouts. Is taking on J-Rock, Julian Williams, J-Rock Williams, on November 18th. Both of these guys are Al Heyman fighters. It's going to be a premier boxing event. And the co-feature, Lionel Thompson, 18-4. This kid was out of Western New York. was a highly decorated amateur, but as a pro has done nothing. He's taken on Earl Newman, who's 10-0 in a light heavyweight fight. I just think it's showing us that, you know, what Al is doing at this point now is just trying to keep his guys somewhat busy. They're fighting each other now. Neither of these fights have me chomping at the bit to see him. Sal, what about you?
No, I again, you know, it's funny. I'm feeling the same way as you on this fight, and you know, it's I have, you know, little interest right now, and I don't know what we could do to, you know, increase that. But and I think as far as the format, like I said, with the old Al Heyman and everything else there, we took a stance on different sides of the aisle. I thought he was doing a good formula. I thought it was going to be okay in some sense, giving these fighters opportunities. But to think that these networks were going to pay him and sustain his success without him depleting his funds, I think was a little short-sighted.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, but I knew that his formula was
you called it, Bill. You called it. I thought they were great fights. I thought they were showcasing some good talent. I thought it was a great opportunity to get boxing back in the boot because they were showing some good fights on a regular basis. And I think it helped resurrect some of the interest that when the fans saw these fights available to them. So maybe it had that effect. You know, it brought more people back into boxing, which is a good effect.
Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao and took his WBO welterweight title with him.
He did.
Now it seems like they're trying to get fights for Horn, and you know the funny thing is you know we talk about Muhammad Ali with I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and backing it up, and all these other fighters are coming out and they're say they make these shallow, stupid comments. Well, the promoters are doing the same thing. I mean, Jeff Horn's promoter has come out and said that Jeff Horn, if he was given the chance to fight Keith Thurman, he would thrash him. He said in a fight, quote, "If at any stage Thurman wants to come and try and unify the titles, he will get the same warm welcome and outcome that was served up to Manny Pacquiao." He said the Hornet is the world's best welterweight and is open to any and all challenges. Should Keith Thurman want to make the mistake of getting into the ring with him and he won't win, he will get the thrashing he deserves. He should man up and get his promoters to call rather than talk tough from 9,000 miles away. Why doesn't he call the promoter? I mean, that's what promoters are supposed to do. I mean, I think it's just a case of them trying to get a big fight for Jeff Horn. Keith Thurman has bigger fish to fry than Jeff Horn, Sal.
Yes, he does, and I'll tell you what. Jeff Horn, as I said, he's virtually unknown to a lot of fight fans or a lot of domestic fight fans here. I think he was somewhat talented. I don't think he's a real world beater in a sense. He had Manny Pacquiao's number that night, and I do think in a rematch he'll have Manny Pacquiao's number again. Just like I said, Manny Pacquiao could fight Floyd Mayweather, and if out of 100 fights, I thought maybe that Floyd would win 90 of them. Well, now I think Floyd would win 100 of them. I think Manny has had his better days, and he's got to be careful because he's not that big of a guy, and he's getting beat by these bigger guys. And Jeff Horn, I think, will have a more deciding fight in a rematch if it occurs.
We'll see. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I got an update on that really, 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 really tough trivia question. Don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Stop living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now.
I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
And it was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I at least look, I would say, 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us today. And, I've been doing these trivia questions again, and we've been putting the Title Bout Championship computer game on the line for anybody that gets the question right. And, some of them, my man Henry Hascup, who gets us a lot of these questions, he's tough, man. He's tough. And these are definitely tough questions. And I've been asking a question for a while. I switched it back and forth. And I appreciate everybody sending me their answers. But unfortunately, nobody was correct until my man, Coach. Now, Coach, let me just tell you, he always tries to answer the trivia questions from his memory. He doesn't, and I'm not going to call it cheating because, it's available to you to do a search and try and find the answer that way. But Coach prides himself on trying to get the answers correctly without doing that. And he's been sending some really good answers, and so has everyone else. We've gotten a lot of answers. But I'm going to give you the answer to the question. And the reason is because Coach's son emailed him the correct answer. And then he emailed me and said, it doesn't count for me because my son gave it to me, which I thought was pretty cool. And as a result of that, well, I'm not giving either one of them the prize. But because I'm a bastard like that. You know me, Sal. I'm not giving anybody anything for nothing, But here's the question. Which boxer was a longtime sparring partner for a heavyweight champ, knocked him down in sparring, and then had a victory over another one-time heavyweight champ? I gave you guys a lot of hints. I said it was prior to 1970. I even gave you the sparring partner's name. The fighter's name was Rocky Marciano yesterday. But the guy who we were looking for, the name we were looking for, was Toxie Hall. Toxie Hall was a sparring partner for a long time for Rocky Marciano. And not only did he knock Rocky down when he was preparing Rocky Marciano for his fight with Don Cockle, he also won a decision over former world heavyweight champion Ezra Charles. So I wanted to thank Coach for being honest, and congratulations to his son, even though I'm not giving him any prizes. So keep that in the back of your mind, Sal, Rocky Cenicola, because I will ask that question one more time. What's your thoughts on the answer?
I cannot believe it. But that's out of left field. I think you threw me off too by saying that he was a well-known fighter, or we would know him. I never heard of that fighter in my life.
No, well, no. That's the whole idea.
I misinterpreted the question. I mean, but knocking down Rocky Marciano, that guy had to have some talent, some skill.
Well, I got another question here, and this one might be more doable for you guys. And keep in mind, people come up and they start asking me all these trivia questions all the time. Yes, I'm a boxing historian, and I know a lot of answers to a lot of questions. But some of these questions that Henry sends us, don't ask them to me because I'm not going to know either. Some of them are just really hard. And this one,
that was a solid question, that last one. But that was great.
Yeah,
great question.
But this one here is doable. And here's the question. And unfortunately, you can't answer this one because it has your guy in it. The question is, who did Jack Dempsey say was the greatest fighter of his weight and height that he ever saw? Who did Jack Dempsey say was the greatest fighter of his height and weight that he ever saw? Now, if you're the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game, the same game that Alex uses to put the Blast from the Past in with current champions. It's a simulation game, and it's really fun. What, you're raising your hand? You're going to take a shot at this one?
I got to shot this, man. I got to shot this.
What is
okay, get it? When he looked in the mirror, he saw himself, Jack Dempsey.
That's good. That's good. You're close, but no. Okay. So listen, if anybody else knows the answer and you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and you have to email us because we use a timestamp. Because if I get two correct answers, the first one that came in wins the prize. The question one more time: who did Jack Dempsey say was the greatest fighter of his weight and height that he ever saw? Good luck to everybody on that. On this day, Sal, October 26th, in 1931, young Perez knocks out Frankie Gennaro in the second round to win the NBA World Flyweight title. It took place in France. On this day in 1942, Henry Armstrong wins a 10-round decision over Fritzy Zivik to improve to 122 wins, 15 losses, and 7 draws in their fight at the Civic Auditorium in San Francisco, California. Zivik drops to 125 wins, 32 losses, and 6 draws, both obviously Hall of Famers. On this day in 1970, Muhammad Ali Muhammad Ali returns to the ring for the first time in 3 years after his legal issues get resolved to stop Jerry Quarry in the third round of a scheduled 15-round fight due to a severe cut. Ali improves to 30-0 in their fight that took place in Georgia, Sal. Quarry drops to 37 wins, 5 losses, and 5 draws. On this day, 1951, Rocky Marciano stops Joe Louis in the 8th round to improve to 38-0 in their fight that took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Louis, well, he drops to 66-3, and this was his last professional fight. And finally, on this day, October 26th, in 1950, the best ever Sugar Ray Robinson knocks out Bobo Olson in the 12th round to retain his Pennsylvania World Middleweight title, and that took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on this day in 1950. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're going to be breaking down the fights. I'm going to be looking at specifically the Anthony Joshua, Carlos Takam fight, as well as the Dillian White fight against Robert Halinas. We'll break those down, and I'm going to sprinkle in Deontay Wilder's resume so all the naysayers can judge for themselves who's got a more impressive resume and who's got the better wins over the better fighters. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. But until then, I'll leave you guys with this. So just make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.